peekaboo. I see you looking at me, looking at you. Hold up, where you going? What you doing? Who you seeing? What you need? What you want? I said, without you by my side, my side, my side. Without you by my side. One time from side to side. Without you by my side, I can't go outside. Without you by my side, I can't go outside. Without you by my side, I can't go outside. One time from side to side. all around the globe, trying to protect your soul.
Another Tuesday with a bit of a special twist for you guys on the mainstream. Vanquisher League action. We are in the final week of regular season. Myself and Golden Gat here to take you through it as we give you basically a playoff introduction with the stakes online for this match. It is going to be a Group C showdown. Bloom Gaming Rose coming in on the outside looking into the playoffs. And on the other side, Golden Gat, a familiar foe for us. Turbo Gaming making another appearance on our casting desk, this time eyeing a potential top seed spot if they can win this series.
Yeah, so Turbo Gaming currently sitting at 5-1, so they're very comfortable with where they are in playoffs. There's no threat of them ever getting knocked out here. As you can see, they're tied currently with the first place team, Flash Syndicates, who has the head-to-head. So if Turbo Gaming wants to get that first place position, they have to win, and Flash Syndicates has to lose. So we'll have to see if that ends up turning out, but guaranteed at least top two, so they don't have too much to worry about. Now, Bloom Gaming Rose, on the other hand, they've got some concerns. They do have the head-to-head against both Iridescent Dawn Ignite and WLS Goobers Edition. However, Goobers Edition, WLS, most likely will win their match considering they are against TMG Warriors. And Iridescent Dawn Ignite, even if they lose, they don't have the head-to-head. So basically, Bloom Gaming Rose, if they win this game, they lock playoffs 100%. But if they lose the game, they're pretty much guaranteed out. Just based off the fact that WLS will most likely win. So this is really do or die here for Bloom Gaming Rose if they do want to make it into that top 4 to lock playoffs.
Turbo Gaming going to be fans of Exalted Gaming as well as that 6th-seeded team. They are 2-4, probably not going to make the playoffs, but they could play spoiler because, like you mentioned, the Flash Syndicates have the head-to-head and they're +1 in game score currently. So, or actually, I believe that's +2 in game score with the fact they played less matches. So Turbo Gaming are going to need some help, but like you mentioned, the storyline that resonates here, Bloom Gaming Rose have control over their destiny. They're just going to have to take down a pretty formidable foe. And Golden Guy, the last time we saw Turbo Gaming, they did take Flash Syndicates to 3 games, and Flash Syndicates are the only team that have beat them, and they're the only team above them. So certainly a formidable foe in all regards.
Yeah, and from their identity in that last one, they seem to have pretty solid play overall. Some of their drafts were maybe slightly questionable, and especially the identity of always drafting that tank in the top side really felt like a weakness since Flash Syndicate had that strong top laner they could really pivot towards. So I'm curious if ISTP Top has added anything to the champion pool since that last encounter, or if they're going to keep it classic, they're going to keep it how they've been winning these games since, it's an isolated case where they lost to Flash Syndicate. And just try and carry that momentum to maybe secure another win against one of these teams that is below them in the standings. But if you're Bloom Gaming Rose, you're going to have to find your advantages. And since that is, the previous case where they did lose, I would really look to that kind of identity of playing through top. I'm not too familiar with Fly Jace, so I don't know exactly what his champion pool would be like. But if you can't actually find an Alawi we saw in that last one, or something else that beats these tanks, or draft maybe a higher prio tank, since tanks are so strong in top lane right now. It makes a big amount of sense to at least try and pivot towards that. So we'll have to see if that's going to be the identity, or it's just going to be batching up 5v5 team comp brawling. I mean, these teams know how to scrap.
They certainly know how to scrap, and go again, kind of build off your point for ICP Top. Definitely a meta shift since the last time we saw them. I believe we've been 2 patches through since we got the last look at Turbo Gaming. So Ornn is definitely not one of those top lane like his top lane take priority. He's always going to be around as a top lane tank if you want to go for it. But there are just so many tank tops that you can pick here. So I hope that ISTP has at least, you don't have to go fully away from the tank ideology here. I just think you need to get away from just 3 picking Ornn in a very, very pivotal matchup. That the Flash Syndicates matchup ended up being this one even more so. You talked about Fly Jace on the other side. I know his hashtag on the right ID is Whippo. Man, if you want to play like your idol, man, there are a ton of carry top laners that Whippo made a career off of in just the last year. So if you want to be like your idol here, Jace, there are a lot of Olaf picks you could go for, tons of other tank busters that could really win you this series. Because I agree with you. I think playing through top side and punishing a team that consistently weak sides top is the way to victory. We'll figure it out, though. We'll get a better idea as we go live from the draft. You got Tier 3 Turbo Gaming on your blue side, and BGR Bloom Gaming Rose rocking the red side.
Yeah, and Lee Sin's going to be the first thing on the ban table. Definitely a pretty strong position for Lee Sin, especially compared to how it's been for the last couple years, I'd say. Really hasn't been that strong, but definitely has found some proficiency with the people that are actually quite good at this champion. And then, oh, okay, a little bit of a side swap there. Just think of it the other way. BGR instead manning the Lee Sin and the Galio. Galio, in particular, pretty strong pick. You get to build a tank. Actually has prio in a lot of lanes. Darius is a big ban call out there because I just checked FlyJace's champ pool. Darius is at the top of that list. And Viego is going to get taken off the table. Probably the strongest AD jungler, in my opinion, at least right now. If you can pair it with something that has prio and mid, and Cassante is going to be that final ban. They really want to cover that blind spot in the top side.
Gotta cover as best you can. Substitution, you can kind of tell if you're looking really, and you know the Bloom Gaming roster really well. Crits is out in the mid lane, and you've got Jacob subbing in. So I'm going to steal Golden Gad's awesome joke from we were off the air. We are going to be having a Jace, Jacob, and Jaco all on one team as we see the Sivir locked in, which is interesting because this was picked into Man United the last time we saw them. He was the big Kaisa guy. Now he's going to switch into the Sivir. Seemed like we're getting a pretty passive bottom lane for game one. Golden Gap with the picks already.
Yeah, Ziggs, Sivir. Sorry, there's the Z and the S are confusing me. Either way, Sivir is actually quite good into these kind of poke matchups. The spell shield actually does provide a lot of sustain in these lanes that would traditionally be a little bit more rough. And since you clear waves so quickly, Ziggs doesn't have the time to kind of hit the turret as he normally does in some of these other ADC matchups. We're going to actually see Aatrox and Hecarim. Hecarim I have not seen pretty much at all, but it is actually a pretty great call out. If you are going to play these more tanky tanky top side, Hecarim loves to beat on these tanks, and it's actually going to be Gragas as a response here for ISTP top. They're going to play this Aatrox Gragas. A little bit of a skill matchup, but Aatrox actually can navigate this matchup not too poorly, I'd say. Actually able to kind of survive it since you're not having to go in melee range as often as some of these other bruisers. You're not gonna get just E'd and then the Gragas just walks away. You know, that doesn't happen as much when you are playing Aatrox. There's a bit more interaction there. LeBlanc, Tom Kench off the table. Tom Kench actually in a very strong spot, is going to be getting a couple nerfs next patch as well. From what I've seen, Poppy as well. You have quite a few dashes. You probably don't want to have to deal with that pick at all. And Syndra's going to be that final ban on the side of BGR.
I'm glad we're already seeing evolution with Turbo Gaming's comp since the last time we saw them. Markedly, I should have named how long it's been. For myself and Golgat, it's been 5 weeks. So, you know, over a month since we saw them last play. ISTP, top, Gragas, perfect pick like you're talking about. Instant answer to the Hecarim. Even the Aatrox is a bit of an annoyance. They're already going to get locked in blind as a mid laner. So we are leaving support R5 for Jay Joxy. Talia, definitely another one of those dash counter champions, a little more of a sneaky one than the Poppy you'd think of. Those slippery stones can be very annoying for an Ahri to go about, but definitely got to keep your eyes, especially if we're talking early in the game, on this Hecarim from Master, because a lot of these other lanes are either passive or they have direct counters to kind of make sure they're slowed down. Ahri, Talia, not a lot of action in the early game. Gragas is going to slow down Aatrox, and with Renata answering an Alistar, we have two champions that are much more about peel than engage alongside their very passive bottom laners.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting game. Hecarim's not going to have too many options, but I don't know if he's going to care too much about that. He could just probably power farm the entire game, and I don't think T3 has drafted any lanes that have prio to really abuse that as much, because Talia actually does match Ahri's wave clear pretty closely. So I think it's going to be a pretty close one where it's really going to come down to who comes out to the early leads and who can kind of sustain in these rough early game matchups. But I'm definitely ready to see how it shapes up.
Excitement in the air, a bit palpable. Golden Gad, as we're getting our appetizer to the playoffs as we get onto the Rift here. ProComps, our lovely sponsor, will give their opinion on the draft shortly, but to remind everybody at home the stakes, Turbo Gaming locked in basically at that second seed, looking for a chance to maybe jump to the first, but it's all about Bloom Gaming Rose. If they win this series, they sneak into the playoffs where anything can happen. And right now, ProComps, our lovely sponsor, is liking their odds based on the draft for game number 1.
Yeah, I could definitely see this from ProComps. I mean, Let's just say Gragas is not if you're not Zeus, it's a little bit hard to navigate in some matchups because it does actually take quite a bit of intimate knowledge on the champion. Man United actually taking quite a bit of poke here, but Joxy wants the trade.
He does want the trade. Maybe we spoke too quickly about how passive these lanes are going to be. Level 1, everybody's slugging it out. Tons of spells being used, but it's Quinnica Pulp that goes pretty low after the trade. That lethal tempo really starting to fire, and Man United playing like he is playing Kai'Sa without aggressive. He's sitting up in this lane. Oh my god.
Yeah, the boomerang blades are really hitting right now. Definitely the only reason they won that trade is just both portions of it are landing. This is a TP advantage here for Winsapop, but has to be a bit careful if they are to kind of stay in this lane. They're getting poked out so disastrously. This is kind of the weakness of Alistar. You have maybe one of the worst support level 1s in the game, which is why you kind of see the prio for this pick go down so much, since that is how important level 1 is. Gonna have to commit the TP early, which means you can re-dive this bot lane pretty much whenever you want if you do find an opening. Talia's gonna ward here. Gonna spot out actually on Xin Zhao here. So Nova's gonna get spotted. They're gonna ping. They know that he will be going towards that bot side. So I'd like to see the bot lane of BGR actually shove out here and try and get away from their turret. You know, you might be able to get another reset in, just to guarantee nothing can really happen. But it's definitely scary.
Doesn't help that their early game oriented gank based champion, even though Hecarim can power farm, is pathing away, going for a full clear towards the top side, the lane where Jace has been able to take a bit of an advantage, getting ISTP shoved under turret. So both these junglers gonna do the very passive farming route. They're gonna both opposite clear each other, then take their scuttle crabs that they've earned just purely based on where they are on the map, and look for a reset. So still pretty indicative, even though the early level 1 trading was pretty powerful on this bot side, that we are up for a lot of farming unless the junglers have a say-so.
Yeah, I'd like to highlight just this Renata pick is actually really powerful into the side of Bloom Gaming Rose here. Like, Alistar hates Renata since you can interrupt dash with the handshake, and let's just say if a Hecarim or an Aatrox with a Sundered Sky, for instance, autos your carry, they will take a ton of damage. So I'd say it's actually a pretty good angle there on that last pick.
I'm certainly a fan of Renata Glasgow. I think she is a game breaker in the right hands in the right scenario, and you put it well there, Golden Gab. This is a very good game for Jay Joxy to try and take over. First gank coming down, though, onto Jacob. Flash for flash, as Cherry Kilo really want to get that charm, but will instead trade Summoner for a Summoner.
Yeah, trading flash for Ahri is pretty good here, I'd say. So Jacob at least surviving. A little bit low on mana, so can't really get a good shove out. Gonna at least secure the cannon. The next wave is gonna be a little bit rough to actually clear up here. Cherry Kilo probably will shove. Both these champions have their TP up currently, but they don't really have too much to actually look for in this 1v1. Bot side still getting shoved in here for the side of Turbo Gaming. I don't think this is going to change much after how that level 1 went. You really do not want to lose much HP on Ziggs, considering you have no TP for a bit. So just going to play pretty safe.
I like the aggressiveness from Man United and Jay Joxy, because you can see the vision they've been able to put down on this bot side jungle is really good. They would spot Master coming before he could even think about wards being placed. There's some behind his Drake Pit. There's some near the Raptors as well, and the Scuttle Crabs. So really hard for Master to even try and gank the one lane that is pushing against his team currently. But with Dragon spawning and Grubs not too far behind, we'll get to see our real first potential skirmish, and mainly where the priority lies for these early game neutrals between the two teams. ICP and Jace in a bit of a trade. Jace pretty aggressively knowing he's got cover, but once again, the vision prevailing right now for Turbo Gaming tracking this Hecarim.
Yeah. Master's just going to keep on farming. Hecarim pretty comfortable with this position. I will say Xin Zhao definitely a big threat in the actual 1v1. I think Hecarim will probably lose until maybe 2 items with a Spear Shojin perhaps. So yeah, definitely got to be a bit more careful. You can't really just run into the enemy jungler and start counter jungling like some of the other matchups you'd like to pick Hecarim into.
Looks like with the power in the bottom lane, Golden Gad, the Nova might just take this free dragon. ISTP is at least trying to get some information down. Does spot Master once again in this top side, so bit of an idea to 2-3 that it's going to be the grubs taken, but right on cue, we get the classic trade of Season 14.
Yeah, I mean, this is how they set up the game, so this is how it'll be played. Nice roam up from Jaco. Knows it, I mean, if Quincepop dies, be unfortunate, but that's just what you have to do right nowadays. You just have to at least trade something for the Drake, since you do lose all prio bot, so going to be able to survive that up. Cherry Kilo going to hit the charm.
Gotta have an
Pretty bad
idea,
position.
though. Yeah. Has to have an idea that the grubs just got taken, so somebody's on the top side. Doesn't commit the Spirit Rush, but like you talked about, this is a nice window for Cherry Kilo. Death Brush, Jaco, gonna face check it. Does not have ultimate. This is a level 4 Alistair with the Spirit Rush dash over the wall. That is clinical. We talked about the bot side vision prevailing, and that's exactly how you earn kills through it.
Yeah, very sneaky movement there to actually cut off the Alistar on the roam back. Cherry Kilo taking a bit of a trade, but doesn't matter too much. Kill threat not exactly there for Talia, but pre-1 item. Xin Zhao kind of looking. It is going to go on the Raptor side, but...
Risky diving Agragas, especially with explosive cast. Master's taking up a lot of the turret aggro. Jace is not bringing enough damage. There's the explosive cast down, but it's too late. Execute comes across onto Master. They get the kill to Jace to start getting a top lane lead for BGR. Oh, hold on, though. Mid laners sticking too long with low health bars. One of them bound to be punished, and this time it's Jacob. But stop me if you heard this one before going Gad. It was the flank from the bot side jungle of BGR to get it.
Yeah, Xin Zhao really just has full control of this map. Hecarim at least able to trade 1 kill over for the execute was pretty fortunate. I was not expecting that to actually be an execute, but just holds the turret pretty much the entire time after, I assume, smiting. Actually, no, it doesn't have smite, so I guess tagged him with W or something like that and just never got traded out on damage. So, yeah, I'd say overall not the worst considering how disastrous the bot lane has been for the side of BGR.
At the very least, Quincepop has done a good job staying somewhat close in farm, down 2 waves. Could be a lot rougher. Has shown some mastery of farming under that turret, but the gold lead still markedly neutral thanks to that top lane lead Jace has been getting, and this is the story we've talked about, right? It's top laners tend to feast against this T3 team in the top side. It just hasn't prevailed to many wins unless you're the best of the best in Group 3.
Yeah, FlyJace is getting, some pretty good control here. Aatrox does like to have 1 item generally before actually powering up fully, so you do get a bit of a free pass with Gragas, but that is really when Gragas is the strongest, about 2 items. When you get that Roa, I mean, that is like the most annoying champ in the game at that point, so we'll have to see. I know there was a Reddit post that went pretty big on League Reddit today that was like, why is Nocturne top toxic, but Gragas is still in the game? I thought that was pretty interesting.
I think it's a good point.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I can see the logic for sure. But we'll see if ISTP starts getting annoying. He's far from that 2-item point, and he is getting froze off his wave pretty effectively, trying to just pick up a couple of these with the casks. Jacob can take it very low as Nova is continuously paying attention towards this mid lane. You can clearly see where these 2 junglers want to play for. Master, we already know the top side. Starting to show it again, but ISTP, with the vision prevailing again, will avoid any sort of gank. It seems like you're only going to have to dive this guy to really find a kill.
Yeah. Jaco just getting chased out of the jungle after denying some vision. Nova already on the tail end here. There is no vision in this rear bush.
Jaco does not ward it, does not check it, does have the Unbreakable Will available if he needs it. When it becomes lightning, going to tag and give Nova away to the bot side. And he'll wisely decide just to hover as another plate goes down for Man United and Jay Joxy.
Yeah, there's a bit of desync here on the timers here. The grubs are taken quite a bit faster, and also it has a slightly shorter respawn time, so they're actually looking to take it here in that window, but Master is in quite a bad position.
Oh, good dodge on the body slam at the very least. Does have the Eclipse done. Here's the Weaver's Wall to bring Jacob over. Nova arrives to the party as well. So it's a 3v3, but first support roam is J-Joxy. Flash away from Jacob, has to give respect to ISTP. Fight splitting on two ends. ISTP has to flash away from a seismic shove, keep himself safe. Nova gets engaged on. There goes Jace with the engage on huge. Hecarim ultimate lands a ton of fears, but he has to bail out of the fight because the sustain is too much. Man United picks up the kill as the 5-stack of Turbo Gaming grab themselves a kill and stop the grub count for BGR.
Yeah, the man advantage and the Renata ult coming out huge there. I'd say really good patience there by J-Joxy. Just waits in the bush with no vision. And then as soon as Aatrox, you know, sees the 3-man stun or knockup, just goes for it logically. But then guess what? You have a Renata on your forehead. So didn't exactly work out so well there. And now Cherry Kilo on the flank.
Cherry Kilo. 2 more charges of the Spirit Rush. Flash is available for Quinn Kapop, but I think they accept Doom is their fate. Throwing out the ultimate just to clear out the wave. But a really heads-up TP flank from the mid laner for Turbo Gaming.
Yeah, the ward was just about to die too, so good timing there. Finds a free kill on the back end there. Ziggs just trying to do as much damage as possible to that turret to at least trade some of that gold over. And speaking of gold, it's still very close for both these teams, sitting only 2 to 300 down for BGR, so they've kept it close despite the disparity in kills and the dragon as well.
TES leads. I mean,
top. I didn't even see top.
It's grown to 50, and oh wow, Jace is. I didn't realize that was the 4th plate Jace has been able to take. So those have all got to be solo. I have to think. It's a story. It's a pressure point that continues to show even a month later. Golden Gad, the weakness of Turbo Gaming that. In a lot of their games, the rest of their map has been able to make up for, and that will be the question going forward as this Drake starts.
Yeah, but having a Shojin that early, I mean, it's not exactly my favorite Aatrox item, considering how little you auto attack, but it's still quite considerable and does get your abilities on a lot quicker. Just completely proxying at this point. Yeah, I think this Aatrox is gonna be a big problem here for the side of T3 when they do go into these fights a little bit later, since you can't neutralize everyone on the side of BGR in these mid game fights.
Jace is just doing everything he can to try and push this lead, but Cherry Kilo up to the task of providing some relief. Jace does have flash, pops the World Ender, trying to see if he can hit these sweet spots for a potential turn here. He's got Jacob behind him. But they're going to give respect over this 2-0 RE and back off.
Yeah, just has to pop ultimate, gets out of there scot-free for the most part. Did commit the Spirit Rush. The Malignance is not aligned, so that's going to be quite a bit of a cooldown. There is the Rift Herald spawning in not too long, so they're actually going to have some pressure to actually just take a bit of this space back on the map. As now everyone respawns and goes straight towards that rift.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nova spots Jaco and Master up there, so definitely going to be pinging some alarm bells. ICP and Nova are close by, but just like the last first skirmish we saw, all 5 members of Turbo Gaming are coming up topside. And they're going to be late to the party with the first turret take, but should be able to wrestle control for the Herald.
Yeah, they also have TP on Jacob as well to actually join this fight if they do commit for the 5v5, but it kind of looks like they're just going to concede it. It is just a Rift Herald, which I found has recently had less effectiveness. I don't know why. I can't really put my finger on it, but I just feel like it hasn't been getting as much utility as it did before. They might actually be looking for something.
Okay, it is secured. Monster is going to face check a brush with a charm to the face. Jacob with the Unbreakable Will standing in the middle of them all. They want to set up Jace to be big, but Cherry Kilo's trying to look for a flank. Hostile takeover. Going to rake and hit nobody on the BGR comp, and Jace gets his first reset. It's Nova and Cherry Kilo now to go to the back end, but Master gets a huge triple fear down, and they're just going to melt front to back here. The Weaver's Wall, making sure J-Joxy, Cherry Kilo, and Man United have nowhere to go. Spell Shield too late for Man United. Quinnica Pop grabs that one. And the Hecarim ult of dreams behind the power of this Aatrox as Bloom Gaming Rose in the driver's seat, hunting for more with the speed ups from Jacob. Going to lay in a beautiful seismic shove. Does Ziggs have enough damage behind it, though? Doesn't seem like just yet. Cherry Kilo still trying to zone. Teleport flank coming from behind. Looks like Turbo Gamer are trying to punish a bit of an overpush, but ICP is just going to get the flash out of Quinnica Pop. Master swings over, and everything starts to finally fizzle.
Yeah, that was a pretty good fight there from BGR, and you saw how powerful the Aatrox was. Didn't get tagged by the Renata ult there. Just able to actually dodge out, find a bit of a flank, and goes pretty big there. Nova.
You do not win this fight, brother. Down 2 levels. I don't think he needs ultimates. Maybe he's just trying to bait for Cherokee. There goes Jace popping the World Ender, try to get these heals, and boy, is he getting them. Couple hundred per sweet spot, but he's not starting to miss them out. So backs off and is able to survive that 1 versus 2.
Yeah, that was very well played there from Jace. Finds a nice angle to hit the Ahri when she is going for that charm, so interrupts it quite a bit to actually be able to survive in that scenario. And I'd say this is a pretty good position for BGR. They are down 2 Drakes, which will be a sour point in about 10 minutes. So they have some time to play with, but Talia is a lot more capable in the side lane than Gragas, I'd say. So they actually have a 1-3-1 advantage. Also, Ziggs is obviously the turret pusher supreme, so I think they're in a pretty good position considering that they didn't go that far down. If anything, they're way ahead now, 3k gold up.
Yeah, and I wonder how many it's just between top laners at this point. I mean, it is a 2-0 item lead. One you rarely see come across. There's that Ziggs coming through, and big turret to knock down as well if you're Quidika Pop. Mid-tier 1 falling.
Curious TP trying to bait Quidika Pop.
Oh, maybe they're going for Jayco on the side. Good body slam, though, sets for the charm, and Quidika Pop is popped again, caught out. TP does end up prevailing, with the dragon not too far behind, but here comes Master trying to punish Man United. You cannot spell shield the might of this horse. See you later.
Yeah, Hecarim is coming through here. ICP top now getting cut off the top wave. Can't even take it. Oh, that was pretty close, actually.
Yeah, he got canceled out of his dash and then gets canceled out of the blast cone as well. But good response from Turbo Gaming. They dropped the Herald mid. They're going to knock down that turret and finally force Jace off that top wave. He's looking for the flank of all flanks right here. Trying to see who he can cut off. Does have the World Ender available if he wants to go for it, but doesn't have many friends behind him. So Turbo Gaming will end up walking out after their Rift Herald push.
Yeah, C9 Joxy has to reset here. Did put down 3 wards, so we'll have good vision on that side of the map. Ziggs walking out of base as well. And they're going to maybe just start this Drake. Considering Sivir is in mid, pretty far away. It looks like they should be able to just grab it up. They don't want to contest this Aatrox who's on this side of the map. And now you're worried for T3. Finding an avenue back in this game is going to be pretty difficult. You need to find really good Gragas disengages with combo of Renata, and then Sivir crucially needs to do a ton of damage to actually shred through these carries, but it's looking quite unlikely at this point with a Voltaic Cycle Sword, which I have not seen this item in forever on this Aatrox.
Yeah, that certainly really is an intriguing build path, but the damage is still there. And you mentioned the real big problem with Sivir. At a certain point, she becomes game-breaking, but that's like 5 items deep. So Man United, 1.5 items, not really there yet. Still farming as well as you expect. But Turbo Gaming are really relying on being able to disengage initial fights from this Hecarim, survive, outlast, and then persevere.
Yeah, at least they do know Hecarim is on this top side, so they're being pretty careful to make sure Sivir doesn't get dove due to a nice deep ward here. So, and it's not going to get spotted out by the Scryers there. So I'd say this is really good prep here from Joxy. He actually knows what ward spots to utilize. Not going to be able to cancel that one either, so can actually commit the control ward. They want to kind of choke out the vision so they can free push on top side to at least drag someone solo over there and maybe look for a play. And if you get a play with members stacked towards Baron, Hecarim alone generally just does enough damage with a couple more members that you could probably just shred through it.
Yeah, the lead for the attack damage topside certainly makes Bloom Gaming Rose a threat for the Baron. This is where the game really becomes intriguing from a macro standpoint with both teams knocking down these mid-tier ones. I am curious to see how these flanks manifest, especially for Bloom Gaming Rose. Whenever you have a Hecarim and an Aatrox, point of attack angles really can decide fights, especially when you're trying to pick off Sivir, get behind a Renata so she can't line her ultimate up well. That's where the angle of fight becomes integral for BGR's success.
I will say it is definitely difficult for Quinkapop to play since you are going to be traditionally not playing full front to back style. You'll have your poke from one position and then generally at least one flank on the other side. So you have to be a little bit careful about walking up, especially because Ahri and particularly Gragas is pretty difficult engage to dodge out on. So They did end up buying a full Banshee's Veil, so it wants to deny any threat when it does come to it during these fights. So I'd say not a bad call out. Your damage is going to be quite low, but you have the Talia to kind of back that up. So yeah, I definitely like the build path.
One build questionable from Golden Gad. The other gets the stamp of approval so far.
I just haven't seen Shojin Cyclosword. I don't know if it's good. It seems pretty okay. Like it's like it feels like Eclipse in two different items. So it's just like,
Why not just build Eclipse?
Oh, I mean, Shojin kind of did work, not gonna lie. So I don't know. I can't critique it that much.
And Cyclosword will lean into Aatrox's ability to heal. I am a bit shocked we haven't seen any anti-heal come out. You could build it on Renata. I feel like Renata and Ari definitely could in their build paths. I guess they don't have a true tank to get a Bramble Vest, but Jace has already shown a predisponence to just heal through a lot of these fights, but it's Master potentially getting picked off first, able to back off with his E. Teleport being channeled by Jacob. They're looking for the fight. In goes Jaco. Throw down the Weaver's Wall to see if they can cut off any escapes. Jace still holding onto that ultimate, commits it, but the hostile takeover ends up hitting 3 members of BGR. Can they still navigate the fight? The Onslaught of Shadows goes through. Jace is looking for a big reset before his World Ender runs out. Nova to fall first, and the damage dealers for T3 are just too far behind on the wrong side of a wall. Jay Joxy and Nova fall with Baron available just a couple steps away for BGR.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an awkward fight. The damage dealers got split off, and then the Gragas ult actually hits the Aatrox back into the team. So now you have an Aatrox on your backline, and your ADC is split, so there's just no threat on to this Aatrox, so just has free reign in the fight. They know that this game could end here if they don't at least maybe find a pick or two, but Cherry Kilo and Man United really have nothing left in the tank, so they're just going to have to walk it off, but yeah, well played there from BGR, and they're in a pretty commanding position. With this Baron, they should be able to just push out, maybe even just stack mid with the help of this Ziggs poke. We'll have to see what they end up doing. Maybe 1-4 is what I imagine, with the Hecarim kind of floating. Seems like a pretty strong setup.
Does to me. Does also feel like Golden Gad, the prevailing theme. The few fights we've seen so far is just it feels like positional advantage has been the name of the game for Bloom Gaming Rose.
Yeah, and it felt like that was a little bit of a desperate fight too. They just wanted to start something. Flashes onto the Xin Zhao, which is never an optimal target due to that ultimate there. So it may have seemed desperate, but they are just that much stronger as far as where they are in their build paths and what their champion identities are. So the gold, yeah, it's not that insanely high above what T3 has, but the actual effective value of it is really what allowed them to make a play that seemed kind of risky.
On top of that, I am getting more and more buying into the Ziggs Talia combo. Obviously, a comp like this only works if you're really going carry oriented with damage in top and jungle, right? Because you can't pick this in a tank with a tank, not enough damage. But the ability for Talia and Ziggs to not only churn out damage, but to find these clutch stuns, find these clutch satchel charges, these slows, is providing a lot more space for Master and Jace to kind of just free roam, because you're not really watching for Talia seismic shoves anymore. You're not watching for Ziggs bombs on the ground or the satchel charges when you have to deal with a horse and a demon in your face that Jace and Masters are. And you see Jace really feels like he's a lot better than anybody else on the Rift right now, just casually 1 versus 2ing, waiting to set up his team, still holding on to that World Ender. Cherry Kilo has to expend the Spirit Rush to get away from Jaco. All the confidence in the world.
It just feels so unwinnable until Sivir's like 5 items. I don't think BGR is playing slow enough to allow that, especially because they just have side lane advantage. So you can match Talia with the Gragas, which is kind of what I was hinting at before. They are collapsing on top side, but there is a control ward there. It's only going to be Joxy on that side. Going to play it pretty safe. Hecarim Ziggs forcing out mid.
Get these waves in. A valiant anti-siege, though, going down so far, I feel, for Turbo Gaming. They're yet to give up a pretty valuable turret. We're about halfway through the Baron. Or actually, more than halfway. We're almost done with the Baron.
Yeah, they didn't really find much. They were kind of looking in that bot side jungle, but couldn't find a big fight. And now with Sivir Wave Clear able to at least take down a lot of the wave, ISDP is going to roam down. Quinkapop is in a bit of a dangerous position.
Jaco just poking and prodding, trying to get some vision down. Tankier Alistair, still holding on to the Unbreakable Will, does not want to commit that valuable ultimate. They do get Jacob to TP in, so one of the 3 teleports off of the Bloom Gaming Rose comp.
Yeah, that's a pretty good, aware fight. You just get the TP, you walk it off. You don't really have to overcommit, especially since the Aatrox is in kind of a good flank position at that fight, so I'd say good awareness there from T3, but it's not really getting you back into this game since Talia can still join with the Weaver's Wall.
Part of that global map presence that both Talia and Ziggs can provide. Starting to see why pro comps are an awesome sponsor for the Titan Leagues. Is a fan of this comp, and well, like pro comps has done so many times in the games I've been able to cast, is proving themselves right on the Rift.
Yeah, I think it's just so hard because you drafted kind of a pick disengage comp, so you don't really have good engage for the side of T3. So they really had to rely on them actually being stronger upon disengaging, which just isn't the case in this game, which just made their life a lot more difficult since they can't just pull a trigger. You know, they can commit a Renata potentially to actually just try and engage, but then if the fight goes long enough, you will guarantee lose that 100%. So yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate for kind of the identities for these comps.
It's even more unfortunate because you would feel like, elongated fights favor Turbo Gaming, but the most fed and powerful member of Bloom Gaming Rose is actually the king of those extended fights, especially if he gets World Ender resets. So the fact that Jace is the strongest of anybody is really just doubling down on the pains of this comp for T3.
Yeah, and Hecarim's also really good in Sivir.
Really good indeed. You know what's good into Gragas? 1 versus 2 with your buddy Alistair. I mean, this is a 2-level down, much gold down Gragas. Does commit both the explosive cast and flash, so a bit of caster curse coming across, but that's everything in Gragas' kit just to live. On the other side, Jacob might be the victim of a dive himself. Good flash away, flash follow from Nover, chase down with the Spirit Rush, and there's a good pick over to that pick comp from Turbo Gaming.
Yeah, they find the pick finally. They're going to be able to crack this tier 1 in the bot side, and Dragon is coming up. They have 2 stacked, and now ISTP has no flash. Oh, this is sad.
Master was just the extra factor, uses a great onslaught of shadows to fear ISTP top back into the waiting arms of Jace. Didn't even need to dive under the turret. They pushed him in between both the turrets. What they weren't calculating for was Turbo Gaming coming back. The flash handshake. Who says Jay Joxy can't find engages on Renata? He picks off one, gets another one into the hostile takeover, and Jaco is alone. They've left this Cal for the slaughter. Bit of fight coming out from T3 when we thought their backs were against the wall.
Yeah, and they're going to look to Baron. It is spawning right as we speak. This is going to still be a very scary take. It's a Ziggs. Doesn't have ultimate at the very least, and the Aatrox that is so powerful. I would actually like to see T3 just bait for maybe a fight, but it looks like Bloom Gaming Rose just wants to push out mid. They want to at least trade some of this gold over, and that's going to be a free Baron for T3 when it looked so unlikely just a couple minutes ago.
I don't hate it, but I don't think Quinnica Pop can get this turret on their own. Jacob's coming up to help, but you're giving a free flank angle. They don't have to reset to the base. Turbo Gaming might find themselves with another huge man advantage for more picks, this time onto the carries. The explosive cast backwards makes sure the Quinnica Pop can't get to the satchel charge. Weaver's Wall has to be defensively committed from Jacob. Cherry Kilo goes dominating, and what's even worse about this timing is look what's up in the Drake pit. Jace was trying to be sneaky, but the aggro spots him out from the behind brush. It's a 5 versus 4 for Turbo Gaming. They're going to try and fight up in a pinch. Jay's still holding on to this World Ender. Once he pops it, all bets are off for Bloom Gaming Rose. They need this Jace to go crazy. They need the steal from Master to be very powerful. In he goes, the onslaught of shadows. The Baron very low, but it's secured by Nova. Reset for Jace. He's starting to run wild. He's picked his next target. Nova, second to be knocked down. Reset number 2. And here goes Master and Jace trying to chase down all of T3 with the sneaky Sivir and the Foxy Ahri. They'll be able to get out, but with Soul Point in their hands.
Yeah, that was pretty well executed. They made sure they didn't commit any more members. I say you get the Dragon, you just try and get out, and get out they were able to. Fly Jace doesn't find Ahri on the backside, so very good sequence of plays, puts T3 back in this game when it looked so unlikely. And now they have a bit of prio, but I'd say even then, these fights are not winning. You need to find more picks if you actually want to fully extend this lead with this Baron. If anything, it's just a stopgap to maybe get to that win con of the late game Sivir. Has the IE, has the Essence Reaver, has the Navori, so pretty much as strong as you get besides the AD value you will get from some of these later items. So this could be a potential angle to actually fight if the Aatrox gets caught out, which is the real kicker.
You know, on the comeback checklist, they did check another box. Heal cut on Man United and Jayjoxy, so that helps with that Aatrox, but it's important to remember the stakes here, especially with the lead Bloom Gaming Rose had. They needed to win this series to make playoffs. Their season is over, and to collapse in game one with the lead they had would just be a devastating way to start it.
Yeah.
Oh, Master on the flank. He gets interrupted well by STP. Cannot engage with the onslaught of shadows. He's still holding on to it as he limps away from the fight, leading down to about a percentage point of HP. And on the side lanes, the dominating Cherry Kilo looking for a tier 2 turret. There is the double combo ultimate, Taliyah and Ziggs. Jace looking for a flank angle. Cherry Kilo, Spirit Rush available, one charge. Looking to see if he can maybe get a charm off. Jace trying to cut down the angle. Cherry Kilo gonna have to use the second one, but gets interrupted. Jace playing this so well. Hits the second sweet spot. Still waiting to see where Cherry Kilo goes. Perfect prediction. Cherry Kilo is rent-free in the head of Jace as he gets a big-time 1,000 gold shutdown.
Yeah, gonna be able to get a little bit more gold. Now has the Sunward Sky as well, so, you know, you may have gotten heal cut, but now he has more healing. So that's just kind of, you know, it's like Sisyphus. So you're just, you get the heal cut. Oh, he's got more healing. Unlucky. Okay. Either way, I mean, they've done a great job, T3, of actually getting this game even. But if this Aatrox ever finds a fight, it is most likely just over. So they have to play very careful. That one, they got a bit fortunate that Man United actually just held the spell shield for so long. Hecarim could not pop ult in the middle of that fight and just guarantee an engage there, so pretty well played. Now they're just taking up a bunch of space in this bot side. Kind of vision control still established, so this is something that's just constant here. Joxy, you see the vision line on that top side. It means that they have full info that Taliyah and Ziggs were on that area, so they have a lot more space to play with.
It's quite comedic that the two strengths that we of the T3 comp that we hadn't seen have both resonated in the last couple of minutes. They were able to disengage the last fight, and this is the other thing they've been a lot better at, picking off members as Jacob has to flash away from his own Weaver's Wall because Jayjoxy just hand-shook a deal for his death. Maybe I speak too soon, though, as Master is in. 1 versus 2, likes his odds in and over, knows that Taliyah is far behind him. Ziggs bomb over top, Nova chunk very low. Sterek's pop, Cherry Kilo over the wall, gonna look for a clutch charm, but marks Jacob for death instead. Man United the first as well. The hostile takeover hits both members. Teleport behind for Quinnica pop, and all of a sudden, Bloom Gaming Rose thought they had another pick. Instead, their 3-man crumbles.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep committing to these fights that seem, you know, you need your Aatrox. I understand, like, you know, T3 is doing a great job of collapsing, but Jacob got out in that scenario, but and that should be more than enough to actually commit for that fight, or to get, you know, to get out of that fight. Now T3 is pushing down these Nexus turrets. It's getting very scary.
Go down to the wire, Golden Gad. 20 seconds before this Hecarim or Taliyah show back up. It has to be Jace, the raid boss. Pops his ultimate, using everything. 1 versus 5 because his Alistar's been thrown to the wayside. Top takes the turret aggro, goes into the stasis, and they cut the raid boss down. Jace has fallen, and that should be enough for Turbo Gaming to steal away a game 1 that was in the grasp of Bloom Gaming Rose.
Wow, what a throw from Bloom Gaming Rose. That is not gonna be good signs coming into game 2 and 3 of this crucial series for playoffs. Man, I just feel gross that I just watched that.
Yeah, I feel dirty. It's
like, that should just not happen. But you know, shout out Turbo Gaming. They just moved the map better. They had better vision control. They find a couple crucial picks where Aatrox just is nowhere to be seen because they're playing these side lanes. And you know, if you don't have the TP on the Aatrox, I'd be a little more careful with your fighting. But they really felt confident in their gold lead, but it wasn't so rock steady as they had thought. And
oh man, look at that down
shows
there.
It too. You know, they had a huge lead. The Aatrox also doing the most damage, which, you know, just shows you need him in these fights, and it just wasn't there. You talked about it. Taliyah Ziggs, not the highest damage dealing, you know, composition. It's very good at keep away and kind of making sure that no one can really engage on your core of champions. but as far as actually bringing the damage to be able to close out these fights, they just don't have it. So yeah, a little bit. I wouldn't say a little. Very big misplace here from BGR is gonna lose them game 1 here in this series.
Now, there's two ways to look at it. If you're Bloom Gaming Rose now, you can obviously fall into the trap of the mind of crap. We just threw this. Did we just blow our season? Desperation, tilt, all that comes in. But the better way to look at it, is you just got to win 2 more games, and you know how to win the early and mid game portions of these games up against Turbo Gaming. Side selection going to be available here for Bloom Gaming Rose on what could be their final game of the season. Game 2 draft coming your guys' way in just a few, and you won't want to miss it. If there are any mouthwash brands that want a sponsorship with the Vanquisher League, boys, there's no better time than now. Wash that terrible taste out of your mouth of that comeback if you're Bloom Gaming Rose, because you still got a series on your hands. Down 1-0 in this one, and they got to battle back and just goldfish memory at Golden Gad.
I'm gonna have to, to be honest. They're going into game 2, fresh off a loss. They now have side selection because, they were the lower seed before, so now they get to do whatever they want. They were on blue side last game. I'd say it was a pretty strong final pick here for T3. Maybe taking them off the red side, leaving a counter pick for maybe mid lane. Well, actually, they got counter pick in mid lane, so it's like, what's your preference? Maybe you could get a very strong 2v2 off of the red side advantage of having R1, R2 at the same time. There were some notable picks missing in that last game, like Ashe was completely untouched. I know Corki is post-nerfs, but trust me, this champ is not gone. Ziggs and Sivir are definitely good responses into Corki, so I understand why it wasn't seen. So there was definitely a lot of options as far as how this draft can shape up, but, picking the Hecarim Aatrox didn't feel that bad in the last game. So now it's, do you want to experiment? Do you want to run it back a little bit? That side of the map was definitely still strong. I'd have a little bit of trouble running back the Taliyah Ziggs again. You do have good matching as far as the Taliyah versus the Ahri, I'd say. But when it came to these fights, your damage was just so low. And the Ziggs really got an unfortunate level 1. You drafted this Alistar, and it just got completely punished.
Completely punished indeed. I would like to see if Bloom Gaming Rose could get a more traditional sort of draft about them. Because like we talked about, it's really rare you can ever go with, this Ziggs Taliyah, like double AP from your 2 main damage dealing roles. So maybe lean a little bit more comfort, a little bit more traditional, get a marksman in there. Bottom lane isn't that bad anymore where you have to spam Ziggs, in my opinion. That's coming from a toxic Emerald AD carry player, so take that as you will. We'll see what they can cook up here. But definitely got to show something a lot different to Turbo Gaming, because the part where Turbo Gaming were so much better was macro fighting, macro positioning, warding in later stages of the game, and those are things that you're just never going to win a series if you're the worst team at.
Yeah, so Turbo Gaming did their due diligence. They found their kind of windows to actually find the game, but I'd say, with the lead that Blue Gaming Rose had, they could have technically just, A-rammed it kind of. Just keep all your strong people on one side and then have the Taliyah split off. And I'm sure there was going to be almost no avenue back in that game, because even if Taliyah dies, you can't win that 4v5 most likely if you commit any resources to kill that Taliyah. So it was definitely a little bit of a misplay. And, besides that misplay, they were pretty much commanding throughout that game after the initial loss in that bot side. So definitely some good positives on the side of BGR, but that throw was kind of disastrous, and there are signs that kind of pointed to it being a possibility with especially the vision control, like having that much info about where this Hecarim was engaging from, or if the Ziggs is roaming anywhere, you have these flank angles options to you that you normally wouldn't have if your Renata's not making the risky play of putting down these deep wards. And I'd say very big shout outs there to Jay Joxy in particular.
Joxy, I was really impressed by Cherry Kilo. I mean, he was at one point, I believe, dominating on this Ahri, deathless, and was really smart about his flank choices. Very, very impressive. And I feel like our discussion is almost taken away from how integral this draft is. This draft is very important, but drafts don't matter if execution is poor. Yeah. So we'll have to see. I do think for a draft strategy, like, keep laning into Jace. Like fly Jace, slammed his matchup. You nearly flame Horizon to ISTP. Give him a carry. I would rather them just end up on red side and just R5 a carry here that can slam lane, take over. I think like Olaf is still very good. Renekton's good in spots. Aatrox is still available. Why not just go back to it? It may be a tank meta, but there are bruisers that are still very much so capable of 1v9ing almost, as we head into what could be such an integral draft.
Yeah, I'm pretty ready to see. Something like an AP Kaisa would have been huge probably for Quinkapop if they wanted to stick to that AP kind of identity. That's something that could join in the dives, and you're not as susceptible to getting dove. As far as the mid game's concerned, you're not that concerned. Acel going to be banned away from T3, so I don't know if that's a call out or something of the sort. They want to deny kind of scaling options, since It does seem like they're playing through top, so if you pick a safe mid, maybe you can get away with it. Galio going to get banned, pretty much the same bans for the side of BGR, and they're going to be staying on the blue side as well, so they want that first pick, and I kind of hope it's not Ziggs, but if you pair it with a different support, maybe you can get a very different kind of look from that bot lane matchup. You know, Alistar Ziggs, not exactly an optimal combo. You're not really getting too much out of that headbutt pull. You're max getting 1 Q, maybe an E on top of it, and you know, if you have barrier, it's not going to matter that much for that side. So, Darius, K'Sante, so they're just changing up one ban here for T3. The Ace Soul going to be that addition. I'm trying to remember what exactly was left open last game, but that's besides the point. If it was left open, I'll remember it if it gets picked here by BGR. And Ashe is going to be that first pick. That is a more standard, very solid first pick. It gives you engage options, which BGR had plenty of them in the last game. But it crucially takes away from T3, who I'd say if it wasn't for the Ziggs, probably would have looked towards something like an Ashe. And Nocturne's going to be the response. And, you know, Orianna is definitely a possibility. This team did play it in the past and found success with it. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see that on that R3 position. Jinx going to be that secondary lockup. So very scary if you are playing Jinx into Ashe. But this champ has gotten a bit stronger over the couple patches it's been in presence. And Jack's going to be the strong response on top side. What does ISTP top have for that pick?
You know, I know I said take red side R5 this guy, but that was a miscalculation because you know if you know ISTP is going to weak side top on red, like just stay blue and pick wherever you want blind. And this is the problem that happens when you really want the Jinx pick. Like you lose the Orianna. That's a complete. This is robbery you're seeing in a draft from Bloom Gaming Roast. They just robbed Tier 3 of what I got to think is their premier pick. The last time we watched T3 Golden Gad, they went for an Orianna Nocturne combo.
Yeah, and there isn't really as good of a combo now in the Nocturne, kind of just isolated. Gragas, good response pick. This was what made Bin have a lot of trouble in this matchup, I'd say, and it looked very.
Zeus last time the Gragas got locked in, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so definitely very good looks here to at least lock it in. Now, the Gragas didn't look that great, but this is a much easier matchup to navigate. You don't have to deal with any Aatrox poke, and you can actually body slam to deny most of his damage most of the time. So I'd say pretty big call out there. Rel, Braum, going to get taken off the table. They don't want those very strong 2v2 or engage options here for BGR. So going to take away a couple of those. Still some premium options available. And Renata's still up. Syndra's going to be the pickup. They want to have a little bit more burst damage, but now the Nocturne really isolated. There really is nothing left with it. I'd say the one kind of savior pick you could go for is something like a Maokai in the support position. Mundo gonna get locked up. That's a jungle pick. Actually extremely strong on the patch. I think sitting at like 53, 54% win rate. Absolutely disgusting. Kind of just rolls over team comp since the damage is there. And the Maokai I just called out is actually going to get stolen away as well. They want to deny every single complimentary pick for this Nocturne. And now you have really no good options left.
Turbo Gamer, you better really make sure Man United carries this game. Like this is, I gotta think this is like the Nico support gonna be locked in. So that I'm not. Let me preface this before I get talking. I am not in the draft room. I don't know what Turbo Gaming's draft plan was, but this signals to me like we panic picked because we lost some of our priority spot picks for the Nocturne. So you got a Nico support, a Syndra mid lane. That's not a lot of great protection for a Jinx. This is not a bottom lane duo you see very often. This is not a Nocturne pairing you see very often. And on the other side,
jungle?
It is Jack's jungle.
Okay. Hey, I'm down. I'm down, honestly.
Yeah. I still love this Bloom Gaming roast comp because you could just, well, actually now I don't like as much that you have a Jack's jungle. If this wasn't Jack's jungle, I was going to say you could just 4-man brigade a Mundo, Maokai, Orianna dash together and then just leave Jax to side lane and just delete turrets. But now it gets a little more tricky.
Yeah, but Mundo is really uncontested in this Gragas matchup since Body Slam gets completely neutralized. I'd say that matchup is so unplayable for Gragas, and it already looked pretty bad against the Aatrox. I don't think we're going to see any 50 CS leads or anything like that, but I think it's still a pretty commanding lead, and those Heartsteel stacks are going to be free when it does come down to it. A nice 4-man stack or 5-man on the bottom side, and I just really think it was a missed opportunity on just playing. You know, you play weak side top anyways. You could have just picked the Maokai and you'll have a good pairing. They went for the Gragas instead. Jinx now going to spot out the 5-man force from the side of BGR, and they're just going to make their way in. They're going to go for a bit of a flank here. Try and kind of cut the map here. This is a little bit scary. I will say the level 1 very strong here for BGR.
Pro Comps loving BGR's draft even more than last game, and they're going to love this level 1 if Man United rounds this one wall, but timing is a mistress for no one. And you just saw that Man United escaped quite literal certain death. Maybe not certain death, but definitely flash loss there.
Yeah, BGR very much favored by Pro Comps yet again. Didn't work out for them last game, but it definitely was not an issue with what they actually ended up kind of playing out there. It was more just execution at that point. And United now going to go towards this bot side. Nico is actually quite strong into Maokai. I've played a lot of Maokai. I have a very strong attachment to Maokai support. This matchup is not easy because Nico, when you're outranged by something that has very easy CC to hit, if you ever W in, you're going to be pretty isolated until level 6, where you get to kind of turn the tides there. But Nico, a good call out, gets to deny some of the pressure there, since you can get rid of the stun, or the root with a clone. So there is a bit of counterplay there to actually play around. Jacob, nice awareness here. Just walks forward.
This is why I need you going, Dad, because you're making these picks that I think that are egregious a little bit better, at least. I still worry about the 5-man composition of Turbo Gaming later on. And, well, the Nico, not getting the value you're talking about, didn't use the clone to dodge the root, does at least root up Quinica Pop further back, so they're able to trade a hefty amount of damage back into Jaco.
Yeah, it's actually the R root that I was referring to. So the W root is still guaranteed, but you do get to E as soon as you do get rooted, but you saw it missed there in that scenario, but still hits Ashe on the backside. You see this Mundo can just walk freely. Did take a lot of damage there at the end of that trade. But that is kind of how it's going to go, especially after Heartsteel. Gragas can't match for pretty much at any point. Jacob might have to just flash early.
Am I seeing a successful sub-level 6 Nocturne gank? What world am I living in right now?
So we're changing the narrative here.
Oh!
We're really changing the narrative.
We're really changing the narrative. Ashe lane losing to Jinx for first blood. Man United doing exactly what I asked of Turbo Gaming with their draft. You need this Jinx to be a menace, to find a big lead, and that's the easiest way to start out that escapade.
That's what I mean. Like, Maokai's support is very weak right now as far as the early lane. You kind of have to just play for 6 at this point, unless you have a really strong kind of 80 carry advantage as far as like how much damage they do and how easy it is to access damage as soon as you click the W. If you're able to burst them, yeah, Maokai's still strong in the early levels, but if you don't have that kind of early game damage, or you don't find some early poke, it can be pretty difficult, since Maokai has to basically 100-0 if you are going to click W ever.
Something to watch as this game goes on. Junglers battling out early. Fear going to land. Spell Shield going to dodge out on the Counter-Strike stun. Good flash from Master to make sure he doesn't get stunned up by this guy of the week. Engage for Jaco. 1 versus 3 momentarily, but more than enough damage from Jacob to punish Nova for his 1v1. And only a slow and a poke amount of damage found. No trade.
Yeah, and you do have so much vision control with the help of this Maokai. That's kind of what made him a premier pick last year. Was it a year ago? Yeah, last year, right?
Yep.
So that is kind of what made it such a premier pick. You have the ultimate, you have the vision control that you just get for free. You get to just walk up, take all that space without ever having to put yourself at risk. And it's going to be definitely a harder look to get all the vision that they did have in that last game for T3.
Gonna be a much harder lane for Cherry Kilo now that Jacob got double buffs. The worst thing for your jungler to ever give your mid laner, to be honest. Forcing a couple
I'm mad
waves.
if that happens, to be honest.
Yeah, we're all mad. We're all upset here, even on the caster desk. Dragging into spawn, though. Grub's not too far behind. So we'll see where these junglers lie their priorities once more. Master going to take a pretty well-timed reset, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, already a bit of a CS lead here for the Mundo. Sitting at already 10, and this is kind of the hard part. Oh, Joxy.
Oh, wow. Look at this CC combo. Root into Chompers. Means Quinica Pop has to flash. Bottom lane not going any bit the way we predicted it off draft.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wait for 6. I mean, that's the nature of Maokai at this point. Nico, I mean, there's a reason Nico was premier. You have a lot of damage early on. If the full Pop Blossom actually hits, it does chunk pretty much as much as a support can, and that's why it was so played by Keria. I'm noticing a trend that Joxy just plays what Keria plays.
Smart.
The world champion now twice, so
Best support in the world. I mean, why not follow that guy?
yep. And now we're gonna see a bit of a trade here. I think that's Nico Nocturne on the bot side and actual Nocturne on the top side.
Yep, that's actual Nocturne. Fear down, defensive shockwaves used. Master is nearby, but there's the Unleashed Power. Scatter the weak, more than enough damage. Jacob is picked off, and what an unfortunate timing for that.
Yeah, and now they have access to the grubs here. Maokai is in the area. Nico as well, but now you've lost which one is the real Nico, or which one's the real Nocturne. Now I'm even getting confused. They're just going to start it up here. You can't really do too much. They're going to just be able to force out at least a bit of positioning here. Fly Jace leveraging a bit of that advantage, but with no jungler in the area, they're just going to trade over the Drake. Put a bit of pressure to at least make people come over and not have any timing to at least deny the Drake here.
Get some poke down. Some first strike stacks back for Jared Gilo. 3 grubs, though. The same trade we saw last game for that first dragon. Just flip-flopped, if I believe.
Yep, that is correct. Jaco now back in that lane. Just going to provide a bunch of control. So going to get this Drake finished up. And now going to have a nice isolated lane on the bot side. There's already a 1,000 gold lead just about for Turbo Gaming. So they're coming out pretty strong here. I don't believe that they can ever really dive the Jinx. Jack's not exactly the strongest to dive, since you can get a lot of damage denied. 700 gold lead on that bot side, so that's actually quite considerable. Since the Ashe, we did talk about, is expected to just dominate most lanes, but yeah, Maokai just not the same champ he used to be.
Not at all. Diving Jinx, I don't think should ever come on the radar until summoners are down either way. Plus, now the Master is actually on the Jax. I mean, you're pretty comfortable power farming. I don't hate the Jax and the Nocturne now because you do definitely not have to worry too much about having to answer jungle for jungler into Nover, at least until ults come online, which it is now, but you can see that Monster has... I'm going to keep doing that all game. I apologize. Master has been able to farm up well, and he's really making me eat my words because he's out here ganking, and he's out here finding kills. One more auto with the lamp. Taste the light. Jacob picks it up.
Yeah, that was well played. Surprisingly, I've also played a lot of Jax jungle. This champ is actually not that weak. Does have a bit of a lull until first item, I'd say. But as far as team fighting goes, it's still Jax, and you do get to avoid I'd say the hardest part of Jax, which is the early lane, and just kind of farm up. Yeah, you lose a lot of pressure on the map, but if your lanes are strong, it's not really something you concern yourself with. Didn't end up panning out that way in this game, but top is still getting an advantage even without the support.
Oh my god, Jay Joxy saw the thinnest of windows, and he's going to take it and make it. Man United down, reset, for Man United, but Jay Joxy showing why he's one of the premier supports in the Vanquisher League this split.
Yeah, and still has the ultimate for the next fight as well. So, that is just well played overall from the bot side. J-Joxy, yeah, definitely making a case for themselves. Completely dominant so far. Jacob taking a lot of poke now. Cherry Kilo finds a little bit more pressure. The Merc Treads were committed to by Jacob, so has a little bit more survivability than before, but the damage is a bit lower. Needs to actually dodge out on all these W's and Q's, which is what makes Syndra so strong. You do get to spam them, and if you hit a couple, you may be in kill range at that point. So
all about scaling up too. We saw the first evolution coming across for Cherokee Low. Gets the Q evolution online there, so you'll be able to churn out a lot more of those Qs, get a lot more of that first strike going.
Yeah, early Yuntal's Wild Arrows here for Jinx, so gonna get those stacks up real fast, and this is what Yuntal's is for now. It's just a stack or a stat item. You just stat check the enemy AD carry. It has a little bit of a fancy interaction with auto attacks, but it's mostly just a stat check item at this
Getting
point.
buffed, by the way. Again.
Yeah, I'm gonna love it when Yasuo and Yone run at me with that item. They haven't adopted it yet because they haven't had to, but when they're gonna inevitably happen, it's gonna be pretty scary. At least they're less tanky, so you can one-shot them.
Is this? I've never heard of this new league prophecy where a new item they try and make work fails for so many months, so they buff it until it's too OP. That's never happened before, right?
Yeah, never. Nope. Yeah, we just don't look at the deleted items list. And
Yeah, don't think about some of the greatest annoying worlds meta. Avoidance sensor, like none of those items ever existed.
yeah, it never existed. CZ Rot never existed. No,
Banner of Command, nope.
never existed either. Yep.
That's an OG one. I don't think anybody's really going to recognize how OP Banner of Command used to be. Big stun, though. Jacob going to have to flash. Dodge out on a lore-accurate rocket there from Man United.
Oh, God. No spoilers there, obviously. So
Yeah, I'm allowed to spoil Season 1 at this point. You should have watched it. Everybody
shout out to Chris, who hasn't watched Season 1.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
And
Chris, you didn't have to
this as a
pause it because
response.
you're mad at me. Chris is mad at me. Just paused it.
Wow, that is
Oh,
crazy.
no. Wait. Oh, no. I just realized what this actually is. Oh, what?
We're back.
What is
Saved.
going on, dude? I was full doomer. You guys should hear the audio from our producer.
The universe spoke there, not to flame Chris. I think I put Pop Blossom on the bot side. I think Ash is dead.
Yeah, well, Jace is dead. He doesn't have maximum dosage up for that Nocturne ultimate. My word, what a flash, and there's the interaction you talked about on the top side. Top able to cancel out a leap from Jackson. After the wacky pause, we have 3 kills for Turbo Gaming.
Yeah, this is not exactly how you want the early game to go. I will say, when I played a ton of Maokai support, every game is winnable because this champ, utility-wise, is complete BS. However, this is not optimal, and your damage is going to be very low into these pretty heavy disengage. Nocturne Paranoia, that's a disengage option. You have, of course, the Explosive Cask on the Gragas. You have Scout of the Week for Syndra, so the effectiveness of getting some of these engages is going to be a lot harder to actually pull off, and Nico also quite good at disengaging, so a lot of disengage, but at least this game they have a lot more options as well. They're not as inflexible as they were last game, and they still found success in that one, so at this point it's looking very scary if you are BGR.
Who's keeping the lead closer, though? Certainly going to be Jace. Oh, right, that's a full Syndra combo. That's only going to get worse, Jaco. Neutralizing the Drake count, though, is Nover for Turbo Gaming.
Yeah, I'm curious. This is a very interesting first item here for the Mundo. Just going straight up for that Warmogs. I don't know if I love it, because you could just farm free Heartsteel stacks on this Gragas.
Yeah.
But I guess is anticipating a lot more early fighting.
Oh, okay. Ice TP, Body Slam, Explosive Cast combo says no to Nover. We have a Paranoia going somewhere. It looks like, yep, it was to pick off Jacob. So, a couple of really big uses out of that ever-powerful Nocturne ultimate.
Yeah, and the experimental Hexplate. God items are just crazy names now. Is secured, so that ultimate's going to be on a lot more often, so expect the lights to dim pretty much anytime anyone's in a bad position, and a nice ward in mid is actually going to reveal that Ashe is in the position at Syndra in the bush, looking for the stun, finds it.
There we go, Ashe arrow to the face, does not have the unleashed power that would have gotten the kill on the Quitica Pop. Nova going to flash for flash trade, get the fear down onto this pretty squishy tree, and he gets popped by the Syndra. My lord, Cherokilo picks up that kill. Here comes Nature's Grasp. We'll grab 2, so Nova gets the first kill. Dodging a couple of snares from Jay Joxy, but won't look for more. Oh boy.
Oh,
Run,
more
run! Maximum dosage, gives me all the health to turn and fight. Unless there's 3. See you later, Jace.
Where's my team? No. How is this possible? No, I'm kidding. Obviously, a little bit knew they were dead, so just goes for the trade kill. Couldn't end up finding it there. Didn't want to commit the flash, so just gonna go down. But this one, I just don't like the Warmogs that much. I know Mundo's got health scaling, and there's no item that gives more HP, but eventually Heartsteel will. So, and also you get an insane amount of damage. The item is still not that nerfed. Oh, minion.
Items nerfed? What are we talking about here?
They need it.
Those exist forever. Oh, there we go. Paranoia to try and steal a Scuttle Crab. Oh, it's Jay Joxy is the minion that had the flank. And Master meets the real Master. Man United goes unstoppable, and this game is getting even more grim by the minute.
We've seen crazier throws before.
we're approaching that. We're approaching that gold threshold. We're not far off from it.
Yeah, we'll just keep that in mind. Obviously, it wasn't Turbo Gaming making that mistake, but it's possible. They're gonna have to find picks. They have a decently good pick comp, but the Nocturne's gonna make it a bit tricky if they need to kind of stop the bleeding. Every paranoia seems to be something that seals their fate even more. BGR needs this victory to keep their playoff dreams alive. Otherwise, end of the season for them, and they're gonna go off in I'd say a pretty sad manner since they had such a big advantage in Game 1.
Game 1, not going to matter at all anymore. It's about doing what Turbo Gaming did to you last time round, sitting at about a 3,500 gold lead and a very scary 2-item jinx that just gets even more terrifying as more items, gold, and XP funnel into them.
Yeah. Jay's still pretty high up as far as CS lead goes, definitely keeping the gold closer than it would be otherwise, but Jinx currently sitting 2 items completed. And they are expensive items too. Yuntal and IE are quite expensive, so you can tell how accelerate bot lane is. And look at the Ashes items. That is depression.
That is the exact same scenario we were in at this pretty similar moment between Jace and ICP last game. The 2 versus 0 item advantage, but hurts a lot more when one of them's a Jinx.
Yeah, who usually doesn't have lane pile, but because you're 2,000 gold up, it's... Or maybe more, 3K maybe. It's a rough look, and gonna get even more on this turret. Finds the. I feel like they're gonna rename that after Arcane, but finds the get excited. Doesn't find anything out of it, but now Jace getting forced into this weak side portion of the map since they want to get Orianna a bit more farm to catch up a bit. Just catching that wave on top side. Drake is up, but this is definitely going to be a surrender for the side of BGR. Maokai in the area.
There's 0 reason to contest this.
I don't know. It looks like they want it.
Just take the gold waves and see what you can pick up here. Very limited vision. There's a 4-level lead between both the supports. Both supports right now. Keep in mind with that, Jacob does TP in. Spot out on Scryer's Bloom, so they know that there's a main advantage. And maybe Turbo Gaming now have to be a bit wary. Cherry Kilo stepping up a bit too far. Spell Shield going to come through for Jace. Does not get scattered to the wind. Here comes the Paranoia, but it's too late. The 4-man brigade from Bloom Gaming Rose pick off 1. Teleport coming behind for ICP. Nova looking for a big Pop Blossom to try and decide this fight. Only grabs the tank. Pop steps up, Ash Arrow to the face of the Nocturne, eats the stun. Jace healing through that maximum dosage. Now the Titan of Man United will finally swing over, but his teammates are so low and Jace is starting to run them down. Can he do it on his own? Certainly not. Rocket gonna miss from Man United, does not snipe out. Jinx is not excited just yet, and now this fight is completely turned on its head. Turret is gonna fall, but there's the first reset for Man United, starting to fire out these rockets. It's gonna have to be a counter-strike and minion block for Master to sneak on out, but the chase is still ongoing. Finally exacerbated. Somehow, all 10 members showed up, and we only had 2 kills, 1 on each side.
I'd say that's pretty good for Bloom Gaming. I mean, they didn't get the Drake, but they did commit a bunch of members and still find 1 pick and a turret, getting some of that gold back. At least you're seeing some signs of life, and you're seeing how the Mundo can really dominate now, almost at the point of that Heartsteel, which will definitely change how this champ interacts in lane. Warmog's doing pretty good work there, but unless you get full disengage, you're not going to be getting full max value out of that. And you're seeing how strong this Jinx really is. Still hasn't purchased boots. Commits to the Zeal. I don't know how I feel about it, but if you're just shredding people if they run at you, I guess it's completely fine. Cherry Kilo
needs to get this stun down.
has flash.
Oop, only just knocks him away. Master commits the flash. Cherry Kilo flashes, but gets slowed up. 1 more hop. Bop down from Master as his scaling threat in the jungle is starting to bear fruit.
Yeah, that's a pretty big mistake back-to-back here for Cherry Kilo. As I said, they just needed to stop the bleeding here for Bloom Gaming Rose, and they'll have a chance in this game. And they just did. I'd say that was actually a pretty good momentum swing. We were questioning whether it would be a good idea, but they even bait out the Gragas TP to actually join on the bot side. So they kind of find everything they want. Now Fly Jace has free reign on this bot lane turret with the Demolish. That's a ton of damage.
What, 2 autos? One of them
Yeah,
demolish proc.
Yeah, we'll just say 2. I think it was like 4. But, shout out, the turret's almost dead. And he's going to go for more, but now everyone else is coming back. They've realized people have finally reset. Lots of pings coming across, a lot of vision getting spotted out on that top side. Thanks to that empowered Scuttle Crab.
I like that Bloom Gaming Rose have adopted the plan I thought they'd do from draft when it was a Jax top in a Mundo jungle, but they're still doing it. And it is working because Jace is so far ahead. Just kind of keep side laning him with teleport up. See if he baits out, Nova to paranoia rush him, and then you play the top side of the river and threaten Baron. Unless Rift Arrow gets dropped and throws all this to the wayside. Now everybody's just trying to group up towards the mid lane. Jayjoxy gets hit with the Nature's Grass Shockwave combo, and Nico Top Blossom is not available. Jaco gets out, and United trying to find a turn. They just blow through Quinnipoca's health bar. There's the paranoia of the backline from Nova. Cuts down the very low Maokai, and now the fight is completely broken open because Man United gets all of the steroid buffs of his Jinx and flies. 4 kills down. Turbo Gaming now can turn for Baron.
That was a huge play from Bloom Gaming Rose, but Quinkapop just goes way too far forward. Didn't realize there was a Syndra on the other side of the bush, and that really was what cost them that fight. Jinx gets the reset, Nocturne finds the Maokai on the backside, and now they're sitting at a 3v4 scenario when that should have just been a 4v4 where Jinx pretty much finds nothing, and now they're going to convert that into this Baron. So, that was almost an amazing comeback play there to actually get some control back in this jungle, but it's just going to bear no fruit as Baron is secured here for T3.
Baron, gold lead ballooned back up to about 5,000. And you got to keep in mind that last fight was without a very valuable Pop Blossom. That usually kicks things off from Jayjoxy. Great rocket block there from Quinnicopa Pop, though.
I like your different interpretations of the name. It has changed maybe 7 times, and
there's so many ways to go about the name. It's honestly somewhat panic-based when the fights break out.
Yeah, I think the last one was Quinkapoka, which I prefer that name over Quinkapop, no lie. But yeah, now going into this next stage of the game, they want to shove out these waves. The Heartsteel finally purchased for the Mundo. We're at 0 stacks at 22 minutes. Not exactly my favorite.
That really is such a blunder, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like you just go Heartsteel this game and you just run over, because what is Gragas supposed to do about, Mundo just walking up to farm that stack every 40 seconds or so? And now Gragas is going to do their best to just deny all those stacks. Nova on the bot side, trying to find Jacob, who they found so many times before earlier in this game. Cherry Kilo staying safe. Has the Merc Treads now.
Jay's still trying to apply all this pressure. ICP commits the explosive cast. Ash Arrow not going to find Man United. He did have cleanse up if the stun rang through. And Jace's side lane adventures are becoming harder and harder by the minute. And it doesn't help that his team is bleeding turrets in the mid lane. Man United knocks down to tier 2. He's going to use that Get Excited passive to try and ram through the tier 3. Forces Jaco to commit the Nature's Grass that will easily be gobbled up by a Jayjoxy Nico clone. So that's 2 ultimates already off the board here for Bloom Gaming Rose, and they just lost their tree, cut down single-handedly by Cherry Kilo.
Yeah, now you don't have any engage because you committed the Nature's Grass before. It's kind of free reign for them to find anything, and Quinkapop.
Cherry Kilo is just finding pick after pick. This time, Man United has more than enough damage to go down, and this could just be the season for Bloom Gaming Rose. They're getting picked off. They have no Grub help, no Baron help, but Jayjoxy's going for the killer blow. Jacob able to flash out. There's a flank from the Mundo, but does the Mundo flank really scare Turbo Gaming? Somewhat does look like it. Man United flashes away from the team, gets his own 1v1 with this Jace Mundo. Shutdown found. Nexus turrets are claimed on the backside, but Monster's still up and kicking, and Jace is still just free farming, but they left Nexus open, and they fight and lose their entire base. 2-0 for Turbo Gaming, who finished the season 6-1.
Oh, that's just such a sour... It feels like a sour victory here for Turbo Gaming. The last game, definitely all control for them. But man, it just feels that the ringing from the first game still is just going in my head. I gotta imagine that just feels so bad if you are, if you are BGR. Like, they had such a good opportunity to get back in this game too as well, but it just didn't come to full fruition here. And that's going to be the end of the season for BGR. There's no way they can qualify. Actually, yeah, I believe so. There's no way they can qualify without winning that game. So I guess there is a slight chance. Wait, let me double check while we're here, just to make sure. Okay, there's still technically a chance. WLS Goobers, if they lose to True Minded Warriors, they would have the head-to-head and make it in. However,
All I'm hearing is they need a lot of help.
they need a lot of help because, you know, True Minded Warriors are currently sitting 0-6. So unless they have a stand-up performance to, shout out over to BGR, it's pretty much over for them. And T3 is going to at least put themselves in a good position to maybe take that first seed and get a much easier placement when it comes into this next round in playoffs. So, and I'd say they did pretty well. You know, it still has that pain point going into playoffs of that top side. It wasn't even solved in this game where it was such a dominant performance. I feel like if Jace just goes for the hard steal, this matchup's going to look even more dominant. The Mundo, went for the team fighting oriented Warmogs, didn't find too much use out of it, but with a hard steal, it just becomes a lot more harder to navigate. And yeah, I mean, if they get into playoffs, I find it hard that they're going to make anything really big happen here for BGR, but they still have a technical chance. So we'll have to see by the end of the night. Definitely check out our Discord, Titan Esports, to see if there's any updates there for the Vanquisher League. If you are interested, that is where all the match updates will go. And yeah, keep tuned. I'd say there's still more games to be played.
Still more games to be played, but the best games of the season are inbound now, ladies and gentlemen. Both broadcasts wrapped up the regular season. We've done so here now with Turbo Gaming's win to go to 6-1. So that coveted playoff bracket will start next week. 12 teams were best of fives going forward here. We're really in the gauntlet. So next week, we'll start out with the round of 12. And you see, I believe we have a 1 week break, and then we jump into quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, traditional single elimination style bracket. And you've watched many of the top teams play across. I know myself and Golden Gad have had the pleasure of casting a couple of them. You know, obviously Flash Syndicate's Turbo Gaming, two of the teams you're looking at from Group C, Akuma Blades, potentially ending the season undefeated with an overall record of 7-0. The winning formula on Group A have a shot at doing that as well. Drop Dead Gaming Vultures are 5-1 currently in their group as well. So a lot of championship contenders. And finally, they will get to clash starting next week and beyond. Big shout out to Chris behind the scenes production. Golden Get, it was always a pleasure. It's going to be a lot more fun with you when we get a couple more of these going into the playoffs. But until now, make sure to stay locked to those socials like you heard Golden Gad say, the Discord to see when all the other leagues are running throughout the week. But most importantly, I expect you back here next week, November 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Or actually, I believe it might be 7 p.m. Eastern this time, to kick off the best of 5 Vanquisher League playoffs. Until then, enjoy your week, take care, and we'll see you soon.